The stream. My name is Annalisa, and today I'm going on this piece right here, and it's going to be a Christmassy snowy village. But first, before we get started, I wanted to show you the finished product of what I made last stream. So I mostly just colored what was going on here last stream, and then afterward the glitter and the lines and did more work on the hair and the faces and things like that. So hope you like it. And now that that's done, I also wanted to show you the bells that I was talking about last live stream because they sound so beautiful. So I want to see if you can pick up on that through the live stream. Don't they just sound like the most perfect jingle bells? Just a lot like those jingle bells from, oh, what's it called? I was talking about it last time. What's it called? Express. A lot like those bells, which I love so much. So, I'm just going to take a minute to tweet this. And this Christmas scene is somewhat related to some of the other pieces I've been working on for, what's it called? 12 Days of Christmas. So I've been doing a video event type thing where I've been posting a video about every other day so that I post 12 videos by Christmas that are all Christmas related, so that I have kind of my own little 12 Days of Christmas on my channel. And so some of the things I've been working on are related to the art pieces I've been working on are related to my stories that I write, and this is one of those. So the first piece that I worked on in the 12 Days of Christmas back on December 1st was of a fairy, and so she was discovering snow for the first time. So it's a picture of this fairy fluttering in a snowy sky with snow falling all around her, and it's really pretty. I really like it. It's one of my favorite pieces that I've made thus far, actually. And so this scene is actually involving the same character. I think this one right here is going to be that character, and also her various cohorts that she travels with. Sorry, I don't know what that was. Something needed to beep. Okay. Now, can I actually get this tweeted? I can't paint and talk. I can't paint, tweet, and talk at the same time, so I'm just going to put this down. So, I'm going to be attempting to monitor the chat via another computer, so we'll see if it actually works. And so if you type something in, I should be able to respond to it. Hopefully. We'll just see how it works out. And right now, all I'm painting is just, I'm putting in white for the snow all around the village. And basically, it's just there so that when I add in more details, there will be white there to mix with. So we'll kind of give it a whitish sort of base, and then anything I put on top of it will pick up in the white and just make it look snowier. If it works, that is. So as I'm doing this snow, I actually am using a combination of a couple of colors. I'm using white, but I'm also using a little bit of this color, which is my greeny sort of blue that I used on these people's cloaks, and it just kind of gives it that Makes it look like there's some shadows and stuff in the snow with where the blue is. And so the reason that my little troop is coming into this village is that they are travelers. And so they go from place to place. They're actually on a specific journey going one place, but they stop all sorts of places along the way because it's a very long journey. So one of the places they're stopping is this village, and I kind of planned out, because of my 12 Days of Christmas thing, I planned out sort of a story for them to go through that all happens in this village. It's very Christmassy, but I was actually planning on doing 25 illustrations at that point, and that was just way too many. So I'm going to do a few more of those sorts of pieces in January, but not all the way through December, because I had 25 illustrations planned, and that was just too many. Okay, now I should be able to see chat. Oh no, what have I done? So, something a little different from my last live stream is I have already blocked in a lot of the colors, like I did the sky and the cloaks and a lot of the buildings. So, now I'm going to be adding some more of the details to kind of bring it more towards a finished piece than I was able to do in the last show. So we'll see. But I'm kind of thinking that all these buildings, all their little architectural details that I'm going to want to do are going to take a really long time. So we'll see how far I get. But let's start with the little park thing in the middle. And it's snow all around, so I imagine that this little bit of water here is probably frozen. So I'm going to put some of those little reflecty line things that you get when water's frozen. See how that looks. Not too bad, actually. Alright. So, let me see. Oh, why don't I tell you about the characters who are here, these guys. There's actually 5 characters, but you can only see 4 of them just because it wouldn't look quite right to fit all of them in. It just wasn't fitting very well. So there's 4 of my 5 characters. And this one, as I said, is a fairy, and probably one of these two I'll make the other fairy. There's 2 fairies in the group. What else? And this little guy here, who's shorter than Miss Fairy, is actually a made-up race called Asgonian. And Asgonians are slightly more magical than humans. But the reason that he's magical is because he had fairy blood. He's got a tiny bit of fairy blood. And so he has visions of the future. And so he's kind of the troop's guide who tells them where they're supposed to be going and what they're supposed to be doing. And he's kind of the driving point of their journey and what they do all the time, because he knows what's up more than any of them do. And he's the one who they're all basically following out on this journey. They all left for various reasons that they didn't really want to be where they started out, but he's the one who has a specific place to go, and they're just following where he goes because they're his friends and he's helped them out. So they want to help him out with what he's doing. Oh, I really like that more than I thought I would. The trees, I mean. That's looking quite nice. Sometimes when I let watercolors kind of be A lot of times I like to work with watercolors so that there's not a lot of water in them. They're very concentrated, and that way you get the most control. But I have found that when I just let the watercolor do what it's going to do and have this extra water in it so it can go wherever it wants, I get some of the prettiest results doing that. So this little park here in the middle of the village has lots of trees, because I love trees. And everything's better with trees. So there's a mix of pine trees, conifer trees. What are they called? Evergreens. They're called evergreens. There's a mix of evergreens and deciduous trees in this little park. And so there's both green ones and brown ones. And my mom really doesn't like deciduous trees in the winter. She much prefers a pine tree because it's green. But I just really don't like the way pine trees look unless they're specifically being used in like a snow scene or as a Christmas tree. But I just don't like the look of them all year round. So they're kind of better than nothing in the winter, but I actually like the way that bare bones trees looked when they're like this. I really like that look. So I disagree with my mother, and I think that all trees should be deciduous trees, except Christmas trees, and that we're much better off with more deciduous trees, even in the winter, because I like how they look. And so what I've kind of imagined is that this brownish sort of area is the main road of the village that has been cleared of snow, and also this little path over the bridge has been cleared. But everything else all around the village and up on this hill they're standing on and down in the park that isn't on the path is just covered in snow. So I guess it's time. Oh, I guess I could put heads and faces on these guys anyway. I think they're all looking down over the village, so we wouldn't be able to see their faces, but we should be able to see their hair. So here's Jessica's hair. The fairy's name is Jessica. It's a very human name, but I probably explained in my full-size painting of her that she's named after a human, and her friend, the fairy over here somewhere, is named Thaladrin, which is a much more fairyish sort of name. But he's not named after a human because she had her grandpa was married to a human before he was married to a fairy that she's descended from, and so he was close with the humans, so he named her that in honor of his human friends. Sorry if I go quiet for 30 seconds or so at various times. I am bad at making decisions and talking at the same time, so if I have to decide like what color I'm going to put on a building or things like that, I'm going to have a hard time also talking at the same time. I can talk while I do mindless work, like filling in things, but making actual decisions is a little difficult. Well, I'm also having to talk. I'm very much an introvert, and also I have social anxiety, so I have difficulties talking. So let's see, what else can I tell you about this village or these people? Oh, I could tell you some more about what I'm planning on doing with the channel. I've actually been watching some stuff on Twitch lately, and I've kind of been thinking about becoming a Twitch streamer. And so I've been watching what other artists do when they're on Twitch and how they engage with the audience and how they, what's it called? How they kind of balance interacting with the audience with doing their paintings. And so one of the things that I really liked that somebody did was whenever someone new came into chat, they would ask them this set of questions about, like, what's your element? And that could be like fire, water, earth, air, but it could also be like books or video games or hip-hop music or anything, whatever your main thing is that you like to think of yourself as being. Or and then the next question was male or female or neither. And then what was the other question? Oh, your favorite animal. And so I was watching the stream, so I engaged and I said that my element was books, and my I said female, and then one of my absolute favorite animals besides cat. Excuse me, I hiccup a lot. One of my favorite animals besides cats is red pandas. So I said that I picked red pandas, and so this artist drew a lady red panda who was reading a book, standing on a pile of books with a book on her head, and it was so adorable and so sweet. And I just thought that was a really cool way to interact with your audience, draw characters for each of them. So I'm thinking about possibly for a regular YouTube video, I could tweet out asking people about what kind of I could ask people those sorts of questions with my own sort of take on it, and then I could do a video about drawing all these characters, and I thought that'd be really fun. I have seen other YouTubers do things like sorry, I gotta get my breath back there. I've been talking too fast. I've seen other YouTubers do things like draw your OCs, so they draw a bunch of their subscribers' OCs. So that seems really fun, so I could also do that. But I think doing a character to represent each person who wants to take part is also really cool. Okay, now it's time to make some decisions, so I might not be able to chat as well for a second. I need to decide what sort of details I want to put on these paintings. So why don't I just get a reference. I have a whole set of references. Where have I put them? Okay, Google Images. I've actually been collecting references for this particular piece for quite a while because I really wanted to make it good. So now how am I gonna get to where I've saved these? So I've been... Here we go. Yes. Okay, here's my references. So I've been trying to figure out how I want to do these buildings for quite a while because I really want them to look good. So I've got a whole collection of references of kind of, I'm not sure if they're Victorian, kind of a mix of Victorian and older than that buildings and how they stylistically look. So I'm going to attempt to capture some of that stuff. So let's start. Let's start with this one. Let's see if I can get some of this across. Okay, so in the pictures I found, they've got kind of these hook things at either end, and then And then the roofy thing is also that color. And basically there's a lot of lines everywhere, superfluous lines. Let's see. And then let's make edges of the window. I'm having a lot of bay windows, which I haven't really decided if this village should be particularly affluent or not, and I would think the bay windows would be something that would indicate an affluent area. But I'm also thinking that this particular square here that they're looking over with the park and everything might be like a market square. And so in the market square they have like shops and everything, so that's why everything looks particularly nice, because it's shops and not houses. So that's a possibility as to why there's so very many bay windows. And it's not just because, you know, I like bay windows. No, that's not the reason. It's got a real reason that goes with the story. Let's see. And I've also, on a lot of these old buildings that I've been looking at for reference, there's a lot of these little hoo-hoos coming out the side. What are they called? They have a name that my mom calls them whenever she sees them, but I can't remember what it is. They've got a lot of these sticky-outy triangle things, which makes extra space if you got an attic, but surely it's more expensive. But maybe all the pictures of houses from this time are of fancy, expensive houses because all the other ones were ugly, and that's just what people take pictures of. Let's see. Oh yes, there's this little hoo-hoo. That is the name for all pretty architecture. It's called hoo-hoos. And you know, if you weren't aware, that's what they're all called. There's this little cappy thing over the door on this photo of a building I've got, so I've done that. And I've kind of blocked this one in as being kind of a brown colored house. So it's kind of like, I'm not sure if it's just tan stucco stuff or if it's what's it called, wood. So we'll just see what it ends up looking like. So put some more windows on this building. Oh, that's too thick. Oh, that's horrible. Oh well. There, that's much better. Let's get rid of that. That's terrible. Yuck, 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 yuck. Go away. Go away, go away, go away. Go away. Where's my tissues? I haven't collected my tissues. Watercolor trick. It's not a trick. You have to keep a tissue handy so you can just, on something you've freshly done anyway, you can just put more water on it and reabsorb it. Let's try that again. Make it less ugly. Much less ugly. There. Okay, now we probably need some more wood paneling in between the bay windows. One thing that I struggle with is being impressionistic versus realistic, because a lot of times, especially when you're doing things in the distance, it would look better if you could get a good impression of it without being necessarily accurate. But I have a real hard time with impressionism. I need to practice it more, but I try to practice it, but a lot of times I just have a really hard time because I want it to look accurate, but it's not going to look accurate at that size. So I need to get over it and just make it impressionistic, because it's small. It's not supposed to look right. Your eyes get blurry at that distance. It's fine. But no, my brain says it must be accurate, even though it's not gonna be, because I'm painting too small to make things accurate. That's a chimney, by the way. Oh, I should have kept that color. Now I've washed it. I'll just get some more of that color. I'm gonna do the inside of this, that color, and this, and that, and maybe down here a little bit. And then the roof needs a color. The roof should be more grayish. I want to put some of that, a little bit more. A little bit more. So, how have all your Christmases been going? I've been having, it's too much. I've been having a pretty good Christmas season, that is. Not Christmas yet. I'm having a good Christmas season, just relaxing. Up until December, from like September until December, I've been applying for a bunch of jobs because I got laid off from my care job. The lady I was caring for, her husband came home to do care for her himself, which is a good thing. It was really good for their relationship that he got to spend that time with her, but meant I was laid off. So I had to go. I've been applying for lots of other jobs, trying to find a job, and have gotten squat. I've had multiple interviews, but no one's called me back, which is so great. And definitely really great for my self-esteem. Oh, I remembered. I did actually talk about this in my last live stream, so I'll shut up about it soon. Basically, the reason I was bringing it up is that I wanted to tell you I'm taking a break until after Christmas. I'm not applying for any more jobs because it's super stressful. So I'm just going to take a break until after Christmas, and then I'm going to start applying again. And thus far, I've mainly been applying to jobs that I might actually like, or that would be kind of, that I wouldn't, not that I would like necessarily, but that I wouldn't hate. So after Christmas, I'm going to start applying for jobs that are a little easier to get, but that I will probably really, really hate, like fast food. I've lately been getting sick at, the smell of cooking meat. I used to be totally fine with that. I get sick at a lot of things really easily because I have really bad allergies, so there's constantly mucus streaming down the back of my throat, which makes me want to throw up. So when I have even a slightly bad smell around me, I am likely to gag and have to resist throwing up. But it's never happened for cooking meat before. I cook meat all the time and it's fine. I like to cook for my family, so I'm used to it. But then suddenly in the last 2 weeks or so, cooking meat has made me sick. Cooked meat that's already been cooked and is nice and brown is fine. But actively cooking meat that's partially raw still gives me horrible troubles. So fast food, probably not going to be a really great place for me to be. There's cooking meat constantly, but maybe a place like Subway where it's all cold meats that have been taken out of a package and things like that, maybe that will be alright. I've also been watching animators lately. I didn't used to watch animators very much, but I just started getting into it. Animators on YouTube, and people like The Odd Ones Out and what's her name? Rebecca from Let Me Explain Studios, and actually a bunch of others. And so I've kind of been, they've been talking about, or they have talked about in the past, I'm watching pretty old videos, they've talked about in the past their various fast food or their various low-level minimum wage jobs. And so one of them that I hadn't actually thought about was like the Dollar Tree. So we have a local Dollar Tree, and I actually like the Dollar Tree quite a bit because I like cheap junk. It just makes me happy a lot of times if it's pretty cheap junk. I like pretty things or fun silly things. Like I've got a lot of Christmas crap around my house and a lot of Halloween crap. It's just not high class or well made in the least, but it makes me happy. So I'm kind of thinking maybe I could apply to the Dollar Tree. And basically, I've been applying to lots of places where they actually like you to be good at things, and none of them have wanted me. So I'm thinking of trying one of the places that doesn't care if you're any good at all. And then maybe one of them will hire me. Not that I'm not good at, like, selling things, or one of the places I applied was a clothes store, and I thought I would really like it because I really like the clothes they have there, and I think I'm pretty good at, like, things like showing up on time and helping people find things and stuff like that. I really like helping people out with things. But I am very shy, and so I come across as awkward. I am awkward, but like I come across as not very nice sometimes just because I'm awkward. But I try to smile a lot so people get that I'm friendly, even if they think I'm weird. But I think people may not have hired me because I was awkward. But I know all people have to apply to a lot of jobs before they find one, but it's very discouraging in the meantime, because they never tell you why they didn't give you the job. They don't tell you, oh, somebody better came along, or this or that just didn't seem the right fit for us, or whatever. They could be, diplomatic about it, just give you some kind of a reason, but no, they just ghost you. Oh well. Which I totally understand on one level, because I know a lot of people can be really jerky, really not nice about not getting a job, and I can understand how that would put you off wanting to have that conversation. But also, I was basically sitting by my phone waiting for a call from various people, and I don't usually monitor my phone that well, just because nobody calls me. So the only people I was waiting for a call from were job things. So it was frustrating that I was waiting all that time and they never had any intention of calling me, and they could have just said, hey, we're not going to call you. But I do understand wanting to avoid that kind of confrontation, because it's not a comfortable conversation to have. So it's just sucky all around from all sides of the equation. Sorry I'm being quiet. I'm just staring at this, trying to decide what I'm going to work on next. Oh. Let me think. More buildings. Do more lines on buildings. I'm not sure what to do about these windows here. Should I outline them in brown or black? Maybe black, because that's what I've done on the rest of the building. But then this would look weird because it's the only brown in the building. I'll do brown. Sorry about my hiccups. I really do have hiccups all the time. I have lots of health maladies for no reason. I have a nerve problem. But let's not talk about that right now, because then this whole stream will just be me complaining about things. Let's talk about something not that. Let's talk about something happy, like Christmas. How about Christmas movies? besides Polar Express, I've got some other ones on my watch list that I want to watch for Christmas. I haven't watched Polar Express yet this season. I need to do that, and also my mom wants to watch Frozen. So whenever my mom wants to watch an animated thing, that's a big deal. So I need to watch that. She thinks all animated things are for kids. She drives me a little bit nuts, but oh well. So we're gonna watch that sometime this season. Interestingly enough, which it is better, but anyway, you don't know what I'm talking about because I haven't actually said. I suggested we also watch the Tinkerbell winter thing where with her sister Periwinkle. My mom's favorite color is periwinkle. But Mom doesn't want to watch that. She says I can watch that by myself. So she doesn't like that one as much, which I will recognize that Frozen is of a higher quality than Tinkerbell, but still. And also, my mom likes the sisterly love part of Frozen, but that's in the Tinkerbell one too. It's about her sister Periwinkle. So you never know what's gonna float my mom's boat. Let's see. Should that be browner so it's like wood paneling, or should it be some kind of a stucco color? I think this red is going to be a brick house sort of a thing. So we'll see. And then I need to color the door. Maybe the door can be a fun color, like red. Let's make it a red door. That's a fun, jolly color. Somebody might have their shop door be red to attract attention, right? There we go. Okay. Oh, that does look good. Now, I think that the background of that cup needs to be darker. It's too light. It's too much blending in with the snow. Maybe a little bit more black. So it's a bit of a gray sort of a color. Kind of like the next door. Kind of like the roof. Yeah, that does look better. Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's too much. Too much. There. Oh, that looks better. Oh, sorry about my squeaky chair, too. My chair likes a squeaker. Let's just put a little wash over there so that's darker without taking up the lines. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, should it be black outlining or red outlining? Like it's funny bricks. Let's do brown outlining, and then maybe I'll try like a brick sort of pattern looking thing around it. Well, what else am I planning on watching for Christmas? I've already watched White Christmas like twice because I freaking love White Christmas. It's such a good movie. It's a silly, sappy movie like a lot of the made-for-TV movies that come out now, but it's got like a silly, sappy plot, but it's like super well made with really good actors and good writing. The dialogue's really funny. So I think it's just got a silly plot, but it's so well made. A lot of the silly ones that are coming out recently are just really crappily made with bad acting and bad writing, but this one just had really good all of that, so I don't think it's the plot that puts me off silly, sappy movies that come out lately. I think it's the just bad production value. So I really love White Christmas, and even though I've already watched it twice, I'm definitely going to watch it again for Christmas at some point before Christmas or on Christmas, possibly. So I'm really going to enjoy that. And I actually watched it probably both times I was watching. I was sketching this and other of my Christmas art pieces. I was sketching them out and planning them, so definitely helpful and inspiring. Oh, another thing, while I'm talking about inspiring watching things, I can't talk. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that, like, a couple of days ago, I was listening to He's a Pirate, the instrumental Black Pearl, what's it called? Pirates of the Caribbean music, where it's probably Jack's theme song. And it's just a lot of heavy violining, and it's really beautiful, and it got me really going, and so I sketched out a pirate lady piece that I'm going to be doing maybe in January, but it might have to wait till February. We'll have to see how many pieces I get done in January. But I sketched out a pirate lady piece, got inspired to draw pirate lady because I was listening to the pirate music. So you'll see that sometime. Now I'm thinking, this right here is a library. And the library kind of is a big part of the story that I made up for my pieces this December. And so I'm gonna try to make that particularly look good. We'll see if I manage it. Oh, I'm kind of sleepy. I slept pretty well last night, but I'm tired. Probably just all the talking. Probably just socially tired. So, what I'm thinking of is, instead of outlining these windows, because they're supposed to be stained glass, I could just put in the colors and then have the background just separated by being not those colors. So let's make the background a little darker, because that's just not quite dark enough. And I don't want to redo more background after I've painted the windows, because I might muck up the windows. So let's see if I can do this. And so I kind of imagine this as being two kind of put together buildings here. I wanted to have it kind of be fun architecture. So it's two pieces here, and then got two turrets, because turrets are my absolute favorite thing ever in the world. I so want a house with a turret so bad. That would be so amazing to have a turret house. And so I'm kind of imagining that the square part of the building is wood, and then the towers are made of stone. So I'm going to put a little more gray on the towers. That's too dark. There we go. And so they can make, it's a mixed media building. Now, what color should the roofs be? More gray, a darker gray, a lighter gray? One of my favorite color schemes for castles is what I call the Barbie color scheme, and it's where the stone of the castle is pink and the roof is green, because multiple Barbie movies have had that color scheme on the castle, and it's so freaking beautiful, because I love, it's this sort of teal mint green, and that's like my favorite green, paired with the pink, which is my favorite overall color. It's like the best ever. Let me see. Now, what color should this roof be? And should it be the same color as this roof? Yes, it should be the same. But what color? More gray? Gray, black? Huh. Maybe it will be gray, but I'll just put a different sort of pattern on it. Like, I'll have there be a pattern that looks like stone on the towers, and I'll have a pattern that looks like slate on the roof. Oh, and it did turn out a different color. Because can I ever mix the same color twice when I'm working with watercolors? No. No, I cannot. Even if I go back into the same palette from the color, it'll be more concentrated one or the other times. So I can't copy colors. Just have to kind of go with it. I was actually talking to somebody on Tumblr yesterday, it was just yesterday, and they were asking about, they're thinking about taking up watercolors after Christmas. And so I told them there's some advice about like what kind of brushes to get and what kind of paint to get. I told them second up from the bottom is probably the best level of watercolors to start with, because that's what I'm still using and I'm quite happy with it, and I didn't have to spend too much money. There are nice things about higher end watercolors, like more concentration. So if you're trying to get effects like a nice wet on wet effect when you make it wet and then put just little dots of color, if you want that to spread out really well, that works a lot better with highly pigmented paints, which the cheaper they are, the less pigmented they are. So if you want to do a lot of that kind of effect, or sometimes get really vibrant colors, higher end ones are a good way to go, but I haven't really felt the need for them yet. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that for somebody who's just starting and doesn't even know if they're going to like watercolors. Like if they're going to quit watercolors really soon because they find out they didn't like them, then it wouldn't be good to have invested in fancy watercolors. But I also, why I brought that up was that I was telling him that if he is used to, I don't know if he's an artist, if he was an artist before he decided to take up watercolors. So I was just saying that if he is used to other medias like acrylic or oil or digital or whatever, that you got to get used to when you switch to watercolors, there's a lot less control. And the watercolor is going to do what the watercolor is going to do, and it's harder to fix mistakes because you can't just go over things. And sometimes you can pick things right up like I did earlier, but sometimes if it's been there too long and you only realize later on that it's a mistake, there's a lot you can't really do about it. So you kind of have to just get used to that being the way it is and not get frustrated with it. But it'd be an unpleasant surprise if you didn't really know that, and then you would worry that it's because you were doing it wrong. No, that's just the nature of watercolors. It's fine. Sorry, I wasn't making any decisions just then. I was just resting my little brain while I rinse my paintbrush. Now, I've got One of the things that I do a lot is I leave a big old mess on my palette. I don't clean it up when I'm done with it every day or whenever I finish a painting, because a lot of times I'll go back into those pigments the next time and you can just reactivate them with water. And then sometimes if you mix together, like as you can see, I've got a bunch of different color mixes I've done on each thing. If you mix them together, I sometimes use that to make a really interesting color. And today right now, I'm not really mixing any of those. I'm just using one of the pinks that I've already got here. And I'm going to put that on my little stained glass window. And that way a little bit of pigment isn't wasted. Not that it's a ton, but it's a little bit. So we're going to see how that looks. And I used a reference for this painting to kind of design the little village. So I used a painting of a Christmas village, and in the painting the main kind of focal point interesting building was a church, so I switched it to being a library, because in this particular world I haven't bothered to invent a religion. I don't really want there to be one particularly. At least not an established like religion that has churches, because that would just be stressful. So I made the fancy building with the fancy stained glass windows and the towers and everything. I made it be a library. Partially because I wanted the focal point of the story to be a library, and also just because I wanted a really interesting building to be in the square here. Now, what other color goes on stained glass? Yellow, 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 yellow. I absolutely love stained glass. It's like one of my favorite things. Oh, that looks good. Oh, that looks great. That really pulled it together. Oh, I like that a lot. I really love stained glass, and one thing that really irritates me so much is that a lot of modern churches that have old buildings, but like modern people using them, actually cover up the stained glass windows in their sanctuaries so they can block out all the light and then put in their own artificial like strobe lights and whatever else, and they want it to be dark so that they totally control the lighting. And it drives me so nuts because they're covering up these gorgeous pieces of art so that they can make their stupid lighting. It drives me so crazy. Oh, and partially also I'm a Christian, if you're not aware, and so I go to Christian Protestant churches, and one of the things that a lot of modern churches like to do, their worship leaders actually train and learn specifically how to manipulate people's emotions through music. And it drives me so nuts. I hate any kind of manipulation, and particularly manipulation in churches and with religion drives me so crazy. And they're actually purposely trying to make people feel like they have a God experience because of how the music is designed, rather than whether the person's actually having a God experience or not. Oh, it drives me nuts. Oh, it drives me nuts. Oh. And so one of the ways they do that is by totally controlling the lighting and manipulating the lighting. And obviously, if they have outside light coming in through stained glass windows or any windows, then they can't totally control it and manipulate people quite as well. So they cover the stained glass. Oh! It just drives me nuts. For one thing, I grew up in a mainline church, a Presbyterian church, and they don't do that. At least the traditional ones don't. The one I grew up in didn't. And the one I go to now does, and it drives me nuts because they have an evangelical pastor and worship leader who aren't mainline, which is a collection of churches being Presbyterian, Methodist, and Lutheran, and which are all fairly similar to each other. And so the pastor and the worship leader aren't that, so they do things the evangelical way, which is frustrating when you go to a Presbyterian church and you want to have a Presbyterian experience where they let the light in and there's light in during the whole service, worship service, and the person talking, but they don't let the light in. They make it all dark and then put in their own lights because they want control. Probably someone who was raised in a evangelical church wouldn't think that was wrong, because it's like, I don't know, a presentation or a concert where they do that anyway, but like, I always thought of it as more of like, it should be like a college class where they have windows and everything's well lit, and you know, it's not about your emotions, it's about the content. But that's just my opinion. Now, what should there be design-wise on this building? Should there be maybe some stripes? I hate stripes, but sometimes when they're in the form of wood planks, then it's alright. Excuse me again. Okay. Ooh, and let's put some more on here. Yeah, that looks good. Ooh, yeah. Oh no, it looked better with just the vertical stripes. Does that help at all? Not very much. It's not really picking up because it was too dry in the first place. There, that's better. Okay. Let's put a little coat of brown back over that because it looks weird. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. Now, how about some work on the windows? Because they need to look like windows and not just white spots. That needs more brown. So I'm thinking, give it a slight blue tinge and then put white streaks over it, much like I've done with this, but a little lighter. Let's see what that does. Ooh, that's nice. So another thing about Twitch streams, actually just streams in general, I've been taking part in a fair number of art streams, and it's just so much fun, the wacky things that you get to talking about in the chats, because somebody will bring up something that's kind of on topic with like how their day has been going, or with what's actually been being painted. Usually not that. Usually it's totally unrelated. And just about like their day or what they think about things. And then somebody else will go off of that, something that's kind of related to that. And then eventually they'll just be talking about crazy weird things. Like I was having a conversation in a chat and with a streamer on Twitch yesterday, not yesterday, 2 days ago, about burgers and whether we like burgers and what kind of burgers, and is fast food gross, and how, and like that study where somebody left a burger either a Big Mac or a Whopper, I'm not sure which. Somebody left a burger alone for 2 years and they came back and it wasn't rotten because it had so many preservatives in it. And so we were just talking about that in this chat, and she was painting a fairy and it just had nothing to do with it, but we were just having fun yakking about nonsense. And in other art streams, like Eve Harvey Art is somebody who streams a lot lately, and we've talked about politics quite a bit in hers. We talked about Brexit and Article 13 because she's British, so that would affect her, both of those things, and then other stuff like that. And so we've talked about that in her chat, and in a very nice way. Those are the kinds of things, like economic things and like sometimes international things and trade agreements. Those are the kind of things that are really easy to talk about without getting super angry and like having a different opinion than other people, but respecting the other people still. But there are other political things like human rights issues, basically, that like you can't really agree to disagree. And it's just, if you're in a mixed group talking about that kind of topic, it's usually not going to be very nice. But we never talk about anything like that in her groups. We just talk about more airy-fairy things about the economy and stuff that's less about, are these people or not? I'm gonna put some more. Ooh, is that too fat? I don't know. Am I ruining this? This is my favorite building. No, it's ugly. Oh no. Oh no. Nah, that looks fine. That looks good. That looks good. That looks good. It's fine. It's fine. Now let's do some of the slatey sort of details on the buildings. And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with this area and this area. I'm thinking little buildings sort of going into the distance where this is the rest of the village, this is part of the village, and this is the rest back here. And just have little itty bitty buildings scattered around, and then maybe a road coming out from here. But I'm not really got a fully formulated sort of plan for that. I'm kind of winging it. So, but I might not actually get around to that on this stream because just putting in these details is taking a long time. So I'm probably going to end the stream in about 10 minutes because that'll be about an hour. Well, actually, about 5 minutes will be an hour from when I started, but I might go a little longer than that. Just because I'd like to get a few more things done before I quit here. But once again, I'll finish it later and then I will show you the final product. I won't just leave you hanging like, whatever happened to that painting? Nobody knows. It just faded into non-existence. I'll finish it and show you. But probably won't get it done now. Now, I'm kind of feeling like I should have that be the roof, but I'll just leave the stone the way it is, and that will be the difference between it, because I think if I put a pattern on the stone, that'll just be way too busy right next to all that cross-hatching stuff. So maybe I'll just leave that the way that it is. I'm pretty pleased with how the brick looking stuff turned out. That's nice, at least. Which I wasn't sure about because it's so tiny. I didn't know if it would turn out. Oh, that's terrible. I'll fix that later. So yeah, should I work on these guys for the last couple of minutes, or should I work on more buildings? I think I should work on more buildings, because I think these guys are going to look worse before they look better. So I don't want to leave them looking worse. So maybe I'll do the little bit of Jessica's skin that you can see, though. That'd be nice. Let's see if I can get a good color. Need some pink, because she is fairly, well, what's it called? Got good circulation. Now where's my testing strip? Where's my testing strip? I'll get a new testing strip. No, that's horrible. Let's add some more brown. Oh my gosh. What the? Oh, I guess it got into the black that's right next to where I'm mixing. Whoops. How about that? That's better. Okay. Okay, let's just put a little bit of that right there. A little bit more over here. That's as good as it's gonna get for now. Yeah, I'm actually pretty pleased with that. I was kind of worried that the buildings were going to end up looking terrible, but they look pretty good. It just takes a really long time to finish them. Because that's 5 buildings I've been working on for almost an hour. I've got more buildings left to do. I've got another 5 basically in this row, and then I'm going to add a bunch more in the background. It's going to be long painting. Long time. Maybe I'll turn the rest of it into a standalone hurt video that'll just be about painting buildings and doing details. I'll speed it up a super lot. Could that be a video? Probably could, because I'll be like adding texture to their cloaks too, so yeah, I bet even with it partially done, if I do the rest for a main video, it'll still be plenty long, certainly, and there will still be enough content to do that. So if I do that, then you'll get to see this finish in a regular video, which would be fun. Okay, so that's pretty much all the buildings you can see in the background done, with the park pretty much done. Well, I probably will add some more little details for contrast, like little shadows on the trees, and maybe actually the trees' shadows, because the sun is probably over here somewhere, because it looks like a sunset or a sunrise. Probably a sunrise. And so there'll probably be have some shadows going this way in the buildings too, so I might be adding all of that in a later video. So I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!